we're going to do is we're going to work together to go through and find the missing speeds of each of our animals. And we will be working with speeds of miles per hour, as well as converting into feet per second or vice versa. What we will be doing is, as we do these, we're going to round each of our answers to the nearest tenth, which is our first decimal place. So we're going to start with, I'm going to cover up this bottom conversion just so that it's not quite so confusing. Okay, we're going to start with using the conversion from converting in miles per hour to feet per second. So if we're given the miles per hour, like we are here, the 61, we're going to use the conversion rates that I have here. So I'll explain these really quick. The first one is if I had 61 miles per 1 hour, and then I wanted to convert that into feet per second. Well, I would have to convert into feet and then also into seconds. So my first conversion here was converting the 1 hour that I had into my seconds. So notice that I did go through and I set it up so that I could cross cancel my hours. Then my second conversion is I needed to convert that 61 miles into feet. So once again, 1 mile is 5,280 feet. And you'll notice that I set it up so that I was able to cross cancel my miles labels. Now when I look through this, the labels that I have left over are feet and seconds. So that's my feet per second. And then to find my answer, I'm going to multiply the numbers straight across on each level. So here I have 61 times 1, which gives me 61, times 5,280. Okay, so of course you can use a calculator for this. I'm not checking your longhand multiplication. So 61 times 5,280. And that gives me 322,080 is my top number, over on the bottom I have 1 times 3,600 times 1, so 3,600 is my bottom number. And this line right here means to divide, so I'm going to hit divide by 3,600. And when I do that, I get 89.46 repeating. So if we round to our first number behind our decimal, this 6 that's behind the 4 is going to tell that 4 to go up to a 5. So our answer here would be 89.5, and that's feet per second. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do the same concept, only this time instead of it being 61, we're going to go ahead and do our 43. So I'm going to work my way down this first column and get all of my feet per second. So I have 43 now. So where I had this 61, I'm going to now replace this with a 43. So 43 miles. So on the top, I have 43 times 1, which is 43, times 5,280. And on the bottom, I have 1 hour times 3,600 times 1. So 3,600 is the number that's going to be on the bottom. So 43 times 5,280. And that answer of 227,040, I'm going to divide by 3,600. When I do that, I get 63.06. So that first 6 is going to tell that 0 to become a 1. So we would get 63.1 for that one. And that was, sorry, it's covered up. That was the coyote. Okay, so now if we go through and do our next one, it looks like we have the giant tortoise, and that was a 0.2. So we'll substitute in our 0.2. And really, when I look at my equation right now, where I had the 43 here, that's where I can substitute in my 0.2 and not have to rewrite. Okay, so on my calculator, because now this is the 0.2, I'm going to punch in 0.2 times 5,280, so that's changing it into the feet. And then I'm going to divide that answer by 3,600, which is changing it into my seconds, and I get 0.293 repeating. So the 9 is going to tell my 2 to become a 3, so we're going to say it's 0.3 feet per second. Okay, we'll do one more, and then I'm going to have you guys finish out the rest of this table. So you may want to jot down this little conversion. Whoops, I didn't mean to erase that. You might want to jot down this conversion that you have. Otherwise, you can pause the video and just look back at it too. So my next one that I'm going to substitute in is this 39.4. Oh, whoops, no, I skipped 32. So my giraffe was a 32. So we'll put 32 here. So now 32 is going to go here. And this would be the conversion that I would jot down so that you could work your way through it. Okay, so on my calculator, 32 times 5,280. Divide that answer by 3,600. And that gives me 49.3 repeating. So that 3 is going to tell the 9 to stay a 9. So it's 46.9. And I don't know, I might have just said 43. I meant 46.9. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. So what you guys are going to do is you can either choose to write this equation, maybe writing this equation right here, right above your table there or below it, so that you know which equation you're using. Or you can just pause your video and work your way through it. I will leave that up to you, looking back at the screen to see what your conversion is. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and move on with converting from feet per second to miles per hour. Okay, so that we're going to do the reversal. So we'll still be using the same numbers. It's just that in our conversion, some of them are going to be shifted around. So here we've got converting our feet per second into miles per hour. So once again, just to explain the conversion, 29.3 feet per 1 second. And then when we convert our seconds to hours, that's where we had our 3,600 seconds per 1 hour. So that's how we got the second conversion. And we, once again, set it up so that we could cross cancel on the seconds. And then to change it into miles, we have 1 mile is 5,280 feet, and we set it up so that we could cross cancel with the feet. So that's how I knew that the feet were going to go on the bottom. So my conversion, we are left with this. Our number that we originally had times 3,600 times 1, which is still going to give us the same thing. And then on the bottom, we have 1 times 5,280, which is 5,280. Okay, so now we're just going to substitute out in that front spot. So the first one that we had was our 29.3. So that's what I had in this original one. So 29.3. And now I'll pull my calculator out. And I'm going to do the same thing that I was just doing. It's just now I'm multiplying and dividing by a different number. So 29.3 times 3,600. And I'm going to divide that answer by 5,280. And when I do that, I get 19.97. So that 7 would tell the 9 to round up, which would be a 10, which ultimately rounds up my 19 to the next number, which would be 20. And you're going to find that you're going to have quite a few of these in this column that are going to round up to the next whole number. Okay, so let's try another one. So the next one we had that we haven't done is, whatever this is, the cheetah that had 102.6 feet per second. So we're going to substitute that in this spot right here, 102.6. So now in my calculator, 102.6 times 3,600, and divide that answer by 5,280. And when I do that, I get 69.95, and the 5 is going to tell the 9 to round up, which then the 9 is going to tell my whole number to go up to the next one. So instead of 69, it becomes 70. Okay, let's try one more. So it's very similar to the previous one. It's just a different conversion. So our next one is 13.2. So we'll put 13.2 in here. Okay, so 13.2 times 3,600 divided by 5,280. And when I do that, I get exactly 9. So that's going to take or travel 9 miles per hour. And I'm just going to double check that one. So 13.2 times 3,600 and divide that by 5,280. Yep, it gave me 9. So you could write it out as 9 or 9.0 if you want to see that first place behind the decimal. Okay, so this is the conversion that you're going to use for your feet per second and converting it into miles per hour. So you can either, once again, pause your video and just leave that conversion up there so that you can see it, or you can go ahead and maybe write that right up above here so that you've got it to go through and use later. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So if you want to work through this, you really need to work through the rest of all of these before you move on to the next step. So you might need to pause your video and finish out this chart.